Hello and welcome to Bring Into Being. Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to feel better, but you just don't know how? Well, then this is the place for you. Here you will find practical tips, information, education, and some fun and play around self-empowerment and learning how to connect with your body, connect with your emotions, your thoughts and beliefs, and make some changes that will lead to feeling better. My name is Julie Chapman and I am your host. I'm thrilled that you're here. So let's get started. Welcome to Bring Into Being, Episode 2, and I'm your host, Julie Chapman. I'm excited to speak today about the topic of understanding and processing negative feelings. And what I like to say, is your body emotionally sticky? I know that may sound funny, but it's an actual possibility. So, we're going to delve into this topic today regarding how to navigate life's challenges. We're going to explore the often overlooked but crucial aspect of processing negative feelings and negative emotions and understanding the effects they have on our bodies, especially when they're unattended or a chronic thought, a chronic negative emotion. Negative feelings and emotions are a totally natural part of the human experience, but what exactly are they? Negative emotions encompass a range of feelings such as sadness, anger, fear, frustration, and they can arise from various sources, including stress, conflict, loss, disappointment, and many more things. Research shows that negative emotion can have profound negative effects on our physical health. Chronic stress and negative emotions can lead to increased cortisol levels, which weakens the immune function and gives us a heightened risk of various health conditions, including heart disease and depression. When it comes to a negative emotion that has been held chronically, this can also equate physically in the body as a chronic pain or discomfort. See if you can bring your awareness next time that you're feeling stressed. For instance, when you're driving to work and you're a little bit late, or some other challenge that has arisen in your day. And if you're able to, just take a moment. Of course, you're aware of the emotion, but see if you can also be aware of what might be happening in your body as well. So, noticing where you may feel tension or tightness or activity, maybe like butterflies, maybe a feeling of a heavy chest or a tight throat. There's lots of ways to feel negative emotion, but also the location. Where do you feel it in your body? And the chances are this is also an area where you tend to feel some discomfort or chronic pain as well. So, what do we do about this? Well, in the last episode, we talked a little bit about something called proprioception, which is the awareness of where your body is in space and its movement. With negative emotion, this is attached more to bringing in the awareness of something called interoception. And just as it suggests internal, intero, this is the awareness of your internal state. Now, it's not just the awareness of emotion, it's also the awareness of hunger, thirst, the need to go to the washroom, temperature. But it does also encompass noticing heart rate, breath, and of course, emotional state. So having the awareness of interoception is really important, especially when we're speaking about how negative emotions can affect the body in a negative way. Learning the skills of awareness for interoception is something that we as adults kind of need to relearn. We understand it as children. Of course, you can think of a baby screaming because it's hungry. That's a beautiful and sometimes difficult and challenging thing to face, but that is that baby understanding its interoceptive need of food, of needing some sustenance or a cuddle or a clean diaper, something like that. But as we get older, we tend to disconnect a little bit with our interoceptive awareness for many, many reasons. Anyone who diets a lot or exercises to extreme, no gain, no pain, they're pushing through those messages, the communication of I'm hungry or I'm exhausted. And the body learns to turn off or not become aware of those messages anymore. So as we get older, we tend to kind of dampen our interoceptive awareness. The reason it's so important to learn it again and to become aware of it again is that through interoceptive awareness, we can manage our emotions better. We can develop emotional resilience. We can have some self empowerment and control over how we react to stressful situations. Something very interesting to note as well is the emotion or the negative sensation that's created in the body and the body's sensory systems are actually, they have a bi-directional relationship. So what that means is the negative emotion can affect the physical body, creating tension, but also physical tension created by, say, sitting too long at your desk can actually result in triggering a negative emotion. So you may have had this experience before. I certainly have. When I have sat too long at my desk with my eyes glued to the computer screen, and then I start feeling kind of grumpy. I feel a little bit tight in my body. I feel kind of sluggish and heavy. And the minute that I actually recognize this and get myself up and move around, go for a walk, go pet the dog, go have a snack, when I come back to this place again, I've actually shaken off that tension and that feeling. So, remembering that this is bi-directional, that negative emotions can be created by stiffness or tension in the body, and tension in the body can be created by negative emotion. So, how can we effectively process negative feelings and mitigate their impact on our well-being? Well, here are some strategies. First, acknowledge the feeling or the emotion without judgment. Now, that in itself is a practice, of course. But just kind of recognizing, yeah, I'm grumpy. And sometimes I don't even know why I'm grumpy. And the grumpy can sit next to me while I'm at my desk working, and that's okay. And I could even give it a little bit of kindness as well, and just let it be there and not try to push it away. And usually, when you do that, it kind of dissipates on its own anyway, rather than creating resistance, which only makes things stronger. Another good idea for those who like to write is, of course, journaling. You could do free writing, you could write down your thoughts, your feelings, just to help gain some clarity and perspective on what might be going on for you. This is also like having a good conversation with a good friend who has all your secrets and still loves you. I hope you have one of those. Being able to talk about it or write about it, I feel almost like it's symbolic of getting it outside of your body somehow. I know that's just symbolism, but it really does feel to me like when you can express it in some way, verbally or by some other way of creation, whether it's writing, painting, drawing, whatever you do, that kind of gives it a place to move out of your body and into. And of course, we have lots of practices, yoga practices, mindfulness, meditation. Practicing mindfulness can help you observe your emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. And it can kind of create a space of quiet to still all of those thoughts that tend to swirl around when you're in a bad mood. Also, meditation can promote relaxation and emotional regulation. Now, I can feel a few of you out there hard rolling your eyes right now at me talking about mindfulness or meditation. And I completely understand that that may feel like something that's just out of reach or impossible. We're so busy in our lives, and I totally get it. But mindfulness can also be just a walk in nature. It can be doing a hobby that you love, something that you get absorbed in so that you're out of your head and focusing all of your attention and energy towards a hobby that you enjoy. Some other ways to process that sticky emotion as it creates tension in your body could be just some gentle movement. It doesn't have to be a specific yoga practice or any other kind of specific practice. It could simply be just moving in a way that your body wants to move. So, taking a moment to kind of check in and see where that tension is, and can you find a way to move to create less tension there? So, as I sit in my chair speaking to you today, maybe my low back is feeling a little bit tight because of the way that I'm sitting, because I'm very short and I have lots of cushions on the chair. So, maybe as I'm speaking to you, I just kind of tilt my pelvis a little bit so that my body is coming forward and the pelvis is tucking under a little bit more. And suddenly that creates and opens some space in my low back, and I feel a little more ease. So that can be your practice. It doesn't have to be some big scheduled thing. In fact, I feel like practice is more of a lifestyle thing, and it should be something practical that you can do throughout your day that just kind of becomes what you do, like brushing your teeth. So, mindfulness practices could be as simple as when you brush your teeth, you pay attention. You're not in your mind, you're not thinking about the day, you're just feeling the bristles on your gums. You're noticing the flavor of the toothpaste, noticing if it's minty, does it make your mouth feel cool or fresh or something else? That is a mindfulness practice. Whatever you pay your attention to and your energy to is what gets bigger. So if you're paying attention to a worry or a stress, you're only giving it more fuel. We all have worries and stresses, and I'm not trying to diminish any concerns or challenges that you're facing, of course. But all I'm saying is, when we are overwhelmed, it's much harder to deal with a situation appropriately than if we have given ourselves a little bit of space to give yourself an opportunity to come up with some creative problem solving, for instance. Another easy way to practice mindfulness is when you eat. Just actually noticing the flavors and the textures, noticing how our body feels when we eat those good foods. Alternately, it could be a good practice to notice when you do eat a food that isn't good for you or doesn't sit well for you, how that feels in your body. It still comes back to awareness. Ultimately, coming into the present moment, coming into our bodies, and bringing our awareness is the key to creating any kind of change that we want in our lives. The awareness gives us the opportunity to go in a different direction, choose something different, make a different decision. When you really understand that every thought, good or bad, every emotion, positive or negative, is felt and filtered through the body, you then truly understand the importance of feeling those feelings and making sure they don't affect your body negatively. Hear that again. Every thought or emotion that you've ever had is felt in the body. And life is lived through our body. We can only experience life through our body. So you can see why interoceptive awareness is so important to relearn as adults. And also learning what those triggers are that create stress for us. For me, since COVID, the news has been a great source of stress. Yes, I want to be informed and know what's happening in the world, of course, but I come away with a physical reaction to all of the negative news that you hear. And of course, the news doesn't tell us a lot of good news. It's usually bad news. So I tend to take myself away from the news, just kind of get the basics that I need, and then don't linger there or get caught up in things and just move on with my day. Something else to understand and recognize is that our emotions can be affected by many external triggers. One is the news or social media, even the TV shows or movies that you like to watch. I loved The Handmaid's Tale, and I love Margaret Atwood. But every time I watched that show, I would feel physically ill as well as really anxious about the world that I live in. I also urge you to bring your awareness to when you are around certain people or environments. For instance, if you hate your job and you feel your whole body just tensing up on your way to work every day, this is not a good situation. So, in that case, it might be worth looking for a different job or finding ways to feel more easeful at that job. Even language is important. Now, I know I'm getting a little nitpicky here, but there is research backing this, that some words create ease in the physical body and some words create tension. And we'll do a little practice at the end of this podcast just to show you. We all have that one person in our lives, hopefully only one, that it's not great fun being around them. That one person who is either very, very negative or they themselves are very angry and can't help but share their feelings with everyone. If you have a person like that in your life, just take a moment and think about them. Imagine their face, hear their voice, just visualize them. What are they wearing? What are they doing? And now notice, did anything change in your body? Do you feel a tension that wasn't there a few minutes ago? Did just visualizing this person create tension in your body? And so you can see, we don't even need the situation, the event, the person to be in front of us. And this is why worry just needs to be thrown in the dump, because worry tells the brain that something is happening. And the brain doesn't know the difference between it's happening or not. It's going to send out the fight or flight response. There's a whole nervous system dysregulation that can happen because we're worrying about something that hasn't happened. Saying it out loud is so silly, but we all do it. We all do it. There is no criticism or judgment here, my friends. I love every one of you unconditionally. So, in a nutshell, negative emotion creates tension in our bodies. And here's the bad news, good news. The bad news is that even if you had some sort of very stressful event or a trauma event in your childhood, chances are you still hold that tension in your body from years ago. That's the bad news. The good news is that it can still be processed and moved along. So, what I suggest for you, my lovelies, is to begin bringing your awareness when you have a negative emotion. Notice where you may feel that in your body, and or notice if a chronic physical discomfort or pain that you've had, notice if it flares more when you have a stressful or challenging situation before you. So bring your awareness to notice. The second step is then to process it, which means the journaling, the meditating, the walks in nature, the talking to friends, the crying your eyes out, the punching the pillow, dancing, singing, anything that brings ease and opens the space in those tight places. I hope that makes sense. So essentially, moving, breathing, bringing awareness to the present moment, all of these are ways, and many, many more, of course, bring healing and also prevention, because now armed with this information, now armed with your new interoceptive awareness, when you recognize that your heart is starting to beat a little too fast, or that you're breathing very shallowly, that you can step in and create the space to do something different and change the outcome. Not only change the outcome, but also prevent it from even getting stuck and creating problems in your body in the first place. So I wish you all the very best in your self explorations. And I hope that you understand that yes, you will fail and you will get off track, and that is perfectly normal. But I'm going to tell you something really important right now. The practice of your self care is not the actual practice. The practice is when you get off track, that you have the awareness to recognize you got off track and the return to the practice. That's the practice, not the actual action or activity, but the recognizing in your awareness and the returning to taking better care. And if you're doing that, my friends, gold stars all over the place. Okay? Do not be hard on yourself. This is a journey, and maybe there is no destination. Maybe the journey is just the journey, and we're all here trying to get through. Let's do it together right now with a very short interoceptive awareness practice. So, if you're able to, just sit comfortably or laying down, doesn't really matter. And if it's safe to do so, just close your eyes or keep a soft gaze. And just notice the chair or the support of the floor, the bed, whatever you're on. Just notice any points of contact that you have. And just take a breath in the way that you normally breathe. And we're going to bring our awareness interoceptively. So just can you notice when you inhale that the air is cool? And when you exhale, the air is warm. Can you notice if you're hungry or maybe too full from a recent meal? Can you notice any desire for water? Are you thirsty? Can you notice how far down your breath goes? And wherever it goes is the right answer. There's no right or wrong here. We're just exploring. Notice the movement of your lungs as you inhale and exhale. And notice if you can kind of tune in with your heartbeat. Now, it's okay if you can't hear it, but if you can, see if you can notice if you can hear it or feel the sensation of its beating. You could even put your hand on your heart and see if you can feel it that way. And just notice the speed that your heart is beating. If it's a little tricky to tune in with the heart, you could just visualize it. We know it's there, we know it's beating. And then just kind of do an overall check of your emotional state in general. Maybe you're annoyed that I'm making you sit here. Maybe you feel a little bit of calm that you didn't have earlier in the day, or something else. Just notice. Just acknowledge whatever's there. And then notice if there's any areas in your physical body that you feel tension or discomfort or pain. And for some of you, you may not have any tension or pain, and that's wonderful. So for those of you in that category, look for the areas that feel the most spacious, the most relaxed, and at ease. So now you have a good kind of starting point. You've done your assessment, you know where you're starting from. So I'm going to say some words. I'll start with negative words first because I want us to end on positive words. So I'm going to say just a few negative words, and I want you to see if you are able to feel any reaction in your body from them. And you may or may not, and both are okay. But just see if there's anything to notice. Angry, worried, tight, heavy, frustrated, stuck, unhappy, stupid, unworthy, alone. So just take a moment and notice if there was any change in your physical body just to hear those words. Or maybe there wasn't anything physical, but maybe one of those words triggered your brain to start thinking about something. Okay, so now we're going to go the opposite way, and I'm going to say some nice words to you and see how this feels. Happy, joyful, love, peaceful, open, spacious, freedom, playful, excited, delighted, abundance, success, deserving. And just notice if there's anything to notice listening to those words. Also notice if any of those words brought up a resistant thought in your mind. That's also very much worth exploring. So if I said the word deserving and your chitter chatter brain was like, no, I'm not, that's something to consider. That's something to take a look at because, well, first of all, you absolutely are deserving, but also that might be a belief that you have, an incorrect belief that you have, that's worth exploring. So just taking another moment, take a breath, and you could open your eyes gently, wiggle your fingers and toes. Just kind of look around the space that you're in and just be present in your body and in the space. So maybe notice your body sitting or laying or whatever you're doing and the physical sensations in your body. And then also notice the room or wherever you are. Maybe notice the colors or the shapes, the furniture, whatever's around you. And just be in this moment with me for just a second. And that, my friends, is a mindfulness practice. I hope that I'm leaving you feeling good and happy and relaxed and maybe a little excited about exploring and the fact that you can be empowered to make some changes. As I wrap up episode 2 of Bring Into Being, I want to thank you. I'm very grateful that you're here listening and sharing this time with me. And remember that processing negative feelings is an essential aspect of emotional well-being. By acknowledging and understanding and effectively managing our emotions, we can cultivate greater resilience and lead healthier, more fulfilling, more engaged lives. I want that for you. Thank you for tuning in to Bring Into Being. If you're interested and you want to subscribe, you will have access to some short courses that I will be uploading. There is one there right now called Are You Emotionally Sticky?, which would tie in nicely with today's episode. And if you're enjoying our time together, I hope that you will share with friends and family to come and listen as well. I appreciate you so much. Take good care, my friends.